A caravan camping holiday on the magnificent southern coast of Western Australia turned from a relaxing break to drama in just 4 short hours.
We'd started a fire, but we weren't particularly successful because the wood was quite wet.
Fortunately, a friend was bringing dry firewood from the farm. Phil went to get the dry wood from the back of the truck. It was dark. He put his hand into the stacked wood.
I felt a sharp pain on my left index finger.
Only recently bitten by his son's pet snake, Phil knew it was probably a snake bite. He knew what the feeling was like, but he had no idea what snake had attacked.
Generally, a snake will give you warning and it'll try and run away.
However, if the snake is cornered, it's naturally going to defend itself. Gary Davies has worked with snakes all his life, removing and relocating countless numbers of venomous snakes as well as educating children and adults about safety around snakes.
Ground snake venom is one of the most potent, so it doesn't rely on lots of volume, and it's just very toxic.
In this part of Australia, the Dugite reigns and is one of the many brown snakes that live all over this vast country. Dugites vary in color from light straw to dark chocolate, but what is typical is that they have irregular black scales that look like freckles.
Average adult size for a Dugite would be 1.2 to 1.5 metres, but then you will get the occasional thumpers that get up around 2 metres, and that's a big snake for a Dugite.
They are an elapid snake, which means they have fixed hollow fangs at the front of the mouth through which the venom is ejected.
The pain of the snake bite was like being injected with a hypodermic needle.
Phil's friends wrapped his arm in makeshift bandages ripped from a pillowcase. A call was made to the local nursing post, but they were advised not to wait for an ambulance. Just go straight to the nearest hospital, 40 minutes away.
Arriving at the hospital, I was immediately laid down upon a gurney and told not to move.
The makeshift bandages were replaced with more compression bandages, starting at the lower limb and moving tightly up Phil's arm towards his heart. An intravenous drip was then hooked up to the same arm.
Venom itself doesn't run and travel through the veins. It's distributed through the body through the lymphatic system, which is only just under the skin. So if we compress the lymphatic system, we stop the flow of venom, but we still allow blood flow to the limb. And that way you don't have to take the bandage off. You can leave it on for 24 hours. Longer if you have to.
One of the biggest misconceptions about snake envenomation is that people think you have to identify the snake that gets you, but you don't have to catch or kill the snake to survive. Your biggest concern is to get to hospital in time.
Generally, a doctor doesn't know how to identify snakes himself. He's going to ask you, what the hell you brought that in for? You carry all the evidence they need in your body.
To determine the type of snake, the medical team will carry out blood tests, urine tests, and take swabs around the bite site. The information will then be processed in a venom detection kit.
Because I wasn't feeling unwell, I actually asked the doctor if it would be okay if I went back to my caravan.
Unfortunately, the news for Phil wasn't good. He may have been feeling well. Often there is no pain from a snake bite, but the risk was high and the doctors were taking no chances. Phil was about to fly out on the Royal Flying Doctor Service to a larger regional hospital with both a doctor and a nurse monitoring his blood pressure and heart rate all the way. In the emergency department, blood tests were taken every 4 hours. Venom had been detected in his blood, as well as a slight amount of muscle wastage.
My anxiety levels did rise quite sharply because I realised that I was possibly in a very dangerous situation.
Snakes are dangerous from the beginning. There's no parental care, so as soon as the eggs hatch, the babies are out, looking after themselves. They have to feed, so they're born ready with venom. Much less in volume than an adult snake, but still toxic.
Dugites aren't fussy. As long as there's a food source and good places to hide, they don't care. They are right through Banksia scrub, all the way through the coastal dunes, around swampy areas, and right in the middle of suburbs amongst humans. They're really not fussy.
Dugites are one of the few species that have increased in numbers around human habitation. With settlement comes many places to hide. Plus, their favorite food is the introduced house mouse, so wherever there are humans, there are usually mice, thus an environment where Dugites thrive.
You're never going to have a problem with a snake that's just lurking in the backyard. And quite frankly, there's probably lots of snakes lurking in your backyards that you don't know about already, and as long as you leave them alone, they'll leave you alone.
For Phil, the venom load was light and the compression bandages prevented any danger to his health. However, there was still care to be taken when the bandages were finally released. 6 medical staff were on board, ready for an emergency.
Apparently that's a very dangerous time, because if there's any venom that has been captured in by the compression bandages and hasn't been dealt with by your body, it can rush through to your heart, and that's when it can cause some damage.
People have died in Australia from dugite bites, but through education, the scientific development of anti-venom, and good hospital systems, it's no longer to be feared.
There's no reason to die in this country of snake bite as long as you do the right thing, put a bandage on and go to hospital.